Welcome to the MC Squared podcast. This is episode number 20. I'm Jimmy McCanna, and I'm here with Andrew McNeil, and we've got a great podcast lined up tonight. Let's go.
We got a world to see and all the time to learn.
What is up, Andrew? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Jimmy.
Good. We always start by just laughing at each other because we're not sure what we're going to say.
No, and I think it keeps the show natural, or maybe it makes it worse. I have no idea, but it's the way we work. So
if
we can't be that rehearsed.
But I'll tell you what, if you like it or not, mainly if you do like it, subscribe down below. We always have a plea at the end, and our producer back there, Drew, is telling us we need to reach out to the viewers before the podcast. So look down below, subscribe on YouTube. We like those subscribers, and we are moving to Rumble.
Yeah, we're on Rumble.
We're on Rumble.
We are on Rumble. The last episode's already up. This episode will obviously be up if you're listening to it on Rumble, and we're going to upload the direct video to my Twitter account as well, because I really appreciate what Elon's doing on the Twitter platform. It is free speech unleashed. Rumble is as well. And so just to, continue to add content or whatever. So it's Andrew, I think it's Andrew T. McNeil 73, I believe is my handle.
That's X.
On X, correct.
On X, yeah. We don't know Twitter. We know X.
No, that's true. That's true. All right, so we want to start off tonight with what is, it really is the biggest story politically, nationally. You won't hear a lot of it in CNN and MSNBC. They're not leading with it because it's absolutely making Biden look like the illegitimate, incompetent, authoritarian that he is. So it's a huge fight on the southern border with Texas. And just to recap, basically, Jimmy, there have been, right now, currently, there's at least 22 million illegals in the United States. And the amount of illegal immigration pouring over our southern border since Biden took office is unprecedented, historical, and absolutely mind-boggling. We've had an illegal immigration problem for a long time. If you remember, Trump kind of ran on that. It was a big deal, build the wall, and he was going to make Mexico pay for it. And all of this sort of stuff, they couldn't find the money after he came in. They couldn't find the money for the $150 billion that it needed, but they've since given $800 billion or more to Ukraine to protect their borders. I mean, these people are they're kind of hell bent on allowing this, and just to break this open, why is because they are pushing for amnesty. They want these folks to vote. 95% of illegal immigrants traditionally will vote Democrat, and it is
really they will.
Oh yeah, it is Democrat control politically to perpetuity. That's what they want. So that's always kind of been the end game, but boy, they really have stepped it up here. So it's just, they're pouring over the border, and Texas has finally had enough. So Texas kicked out at Eagle Pass, one of the main areas they've been crossing a river, I believe. They kicked out the border patrol agents, who all they were doing was basically catch and release. They were grabbing folks, registering them, giving them a phone, and saying, "We'll see you in a couple years, maybe." We don't even know who is coming across that border. So Texas put up some barbed wire. They put up barricades and deployed the National Guard. Well, Biden wasn't going to have that, so he sued Texas to get back control of what he wasn't controlling. But they want these folks coming in. They don't want any of them feeling like the border's closed. So they sued him. He went to court. The full case didn't go to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court said, hey, we're going to send it back to the lower courts. But in the meantime, 5-4 ruling with Amy Coney Barrett and Roberts siding with the liberal justices, we want to go ahead and let Biden do whatever he wants. So Texas basically has responded, and I want to read their statement. This is Greg Abbott's statement. This is just A lot of times these things can get kind of boring, but I just thought this was phenomenal and explains it way better than I can. So this was yesterday, his proclamation. The federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the states. The executive branch of the United States has a constitutional duty to enforce federal laws protecting states, including immigration laws on the books right now. President Biden has refused to enforce those laws and has even violated them. The result is that he has smashed records for illegal immigration. Despite having been put on notice in a series of letters, one of which I delivered to him by hand, President Biden has ignored Texas's demand that he perform his constitutional duties. So he's got 3 points. President Biden has violated his oath to faithfully execute immigration law enacted by Congress. Instead of prosecuting immigrants for the federal crime of illegal entry, President Biden has sent his lawyers into federal courts to sue Texas for taking action to secure the border. President Biden has instructed his agencies to ignore federal statutes that mandate the detention of illegal immigrants. This effect is to illegally allow their en masse parole into the United States. And this has been going on at least for a year or two. That was my comment. By wasting taxpayer dollars to tear open Texas's border security infrastructure, President Biden has enticed illegal immigrants, get this, away from the 28 legal entry points.
I wonder why.
There's 28 places you can enter the United States legally on our southern border.
Yeah.
Or at least with Texas. I don't know if that's full, but along this state's southern border. So Texas has 28 points of entry.
But they're coming in places.
Oh yeah, because they're illegal. This is really good. Along the state's southern border, bridges where nobody drowns, and into the dangerous waters of the Rio Grande. Under President Biden's lawless border policies, more than 6 million illegal immigrants have crossed our southern border in just 3 years. That is more than the population of 33 different states in this country. This illegal refusal to protect the states has inflicted unprecedented harm on the people all across the United States. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and the other visionaries who wrote the U.S. Constitution foresaw that the states should not be left to the mercy of a lawless president who does nothing to stop external threats like cartels smuggling millions of illegal immigrants across the border. That is why the framers included both Article 4, Section 4, which promises that the federal government shall protect each state against invasion, and Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which acknowledges the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders, and he cites a Supreme Court case. The failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4, Section 4 has triggered Article 1, Section 10. This is important because this is what brings everybody else in, and I'll talk about that. Clause 3, which reserves this to the state, the right of self-defense, and that's key. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion. So he's declaring that this is an invasion, which then constitutionally opens up a whole lot of things. To invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and other Texas personnel are acting on that authority as well as state law to secure Texas's border. So what has happened since then is that 25 other states have now joined. See, in the Constitution, in that section, it talks about other states are not allowed to join other states. There's kind of, stopping the Civil War type of thing. Yeah. Now, other states aren't allowed to join other states against the federal government, except in cases of an invasion. Then you are.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened. So 25 states, including Indiana, have made bold public proclamations. They are standing with Texas. Several states, including Arkansas and others, have sent troops, supplies, whatever's needed. And the Biden administration is not backing down. They said, hey, you've got 24 hours to tear that barbed wire down. And so Texas went out and installed more and put up barricades and even more National Guards. So that's where we are right now. We are in a huge clash. And here's the thing. Politically, it is suicide for Biden. What is he going to do? Is he going to send down federal military and have an actual armed clash with Texas? I don't think that's going to happen. Is he going to push them aside and physically cut the barbed wire so the illegals can start pouring? I mean, the country really wants to see that? I mean, he's finished politically if that's the case.
Is that the point?
And he has pushed this because it's illegal and it's treason. I mean, there's no other way to look at this. It's treason. You are on purpose violating law. And he is not allowed to be a king or a dictator. The Congress passed these immigration laws, and he is violating it by everything he has.
I think it's really interesting that this scenario is built into the Constitution, because if the election system works the way it should, the commander-in-chief should not be elected if they're not of the people.
Right.
And so, people can go astray. But it's very interesting that this is built in the Constitution. The second thing is that even in healthcare, and this is, so I'm thinking about it from a little different perspective.
Okay, well, that's good.
Not against what you're saying, but I'm just saying, I think you would totally believe this, that the blame has to be on the Biden administration. I don't believe that Joe Biden can make decisions. I'm real serious.
Yeah.
In healthcare, we have that. You get to a point where you're deemed that you cannot make a decision.
Yeah.
So in that case, you get a power of attorney.
Right.
So I think by many things that we've seen, and we've seen has to be the best. If you're watching anything on TV, you have to see the best that he'll ever be or that he is. But I really don't know if he's making these decisions or if it is his power of attorney.
Okay, so
now I'm not saying he shouldn't be held accountable for it.
I 100% agree with you. But the problem is this has been going on. I don't think he's ever been in charge, ever. They ran a dupe. They put as his VP someone so incompetent that it is impeachment insurance, because if you impeach Biden, you get Kamala, and nobody wants that. So that's the impeachment insurance. Yeah, Biden should have been Biden.
Whoa, wow.
There we go. But so Obama is the power behind the throne. He's never left D.C. He set up his camp. This is already, if we had a news or agency in the United States that was doing any of its job, this would already be common knowledge. But he is the one calling the shots. This is Barack Obama.
But are we, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be battling this, because absolutely we should. But is it much darker than what we see? Because is Biden being put in this political suicide for a reason?
No, because I think the plan is the illegal immigration.
Well, that's a nice aspect
So
of it.
if they lose him politically over it, to them it's worth it, because this is what they want. Once they have the voting bloc that is massively Democrats everywhere, massively unbeatable, like they've done to California. California used to be a Republican stalwart. Could count on California to be Republican for the presidential ticket. Isn't that crazy? Reagan was the governor. Reagan was the governor out there in California. The demographics have changed so dramatically. That's what they're going to do to Texas. Texas was close. We used to be able to count on Texas being deep red. Texas was close last time. And so they start peeling Texas off. I mean, it's over once that happens. We'll never, ever have a Republican president again, ever. And that's the intent here.
Well, this is my thought on it.
Yeah.
I get that we have a two-party system in this situation, but I think there is the conservatives need to appeal to these new U.S. citizens we have.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, how do we do that? Because we can't just say, well, they came across the border, so they're going to be Democrat the rest of their life. I don't.
Well, no. So here's the deal. They're coming across illegally. They need deported. The folks who are coming here legally, That's who we welcome. We welcome into the United States. We have no idea who these folks are. Most of them are military age young men. Some of them are coming from the Middle East, crossing our southern border. We have drug runners, sex traffickers. I mean, it is that we're not getting the best and the brightest from these countries down there. These are criminals. It's absolutely abhorrent that this is happening. Surprisingly, this is a very strong issue in the Hispanic community in the United States. They are 100% for closing that border. There isn't any of them, that want this to happen. Yeah. I am not for amnesty, never will be. Your first act coming to the United States was to break the law. Yeah, no, I don't see a pathway to citizenship here unless you're deported or you return back to your country and start the process like everybody else has to. Legally, we allow 1 million people a year legally to come into the United States, which is record high, and we've done this for a long time. There are overwhelming amount of legal immigrants, which I think needs to be stemmed back for a while too, until we get assimilated. We are losing American values and culture because we're being overwhelmed by people who have no such values whatsoever.
It's a really good point. And working in a hospital, I've heard this before because there's an opportunity in a small town like we have to recruit specialty physicians.
Yeah.
And we don't always make those in the United States. Sometimes they come from other countries. We can't get them here because of their visas. We can't get quality, not quality, but I'm just specialty physicians that are they're willing to come here and they'll come and visit, but they have problems with immigration.
Yeah.
So they're actually going through it the right way.
Yes, correct.
But if they just run down and go across the border illegally,
then they could, And
so it's keeping, it's one of those things like there's actually people that want to come here and make a difference, and help people.
Yeah, and those are the folks we want.
Yeah.
But the system is clogged to overflow. And we've heard from border agents all up and down. The border agents, by the way, even though they were evicted from that Eagle Pass, they're 100% on Texas's side here. They're sick at what the Biden administration has done. And the border agents that have done their job, and they're amazing. They're amazing patriots, and really we owe them a debt of gratitude. Those folks are laying their lives down on our borders, and they're not getting any help from their government.
So just one little dark thought about this situation, about the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So they are siding on the side of the president. Is this a setup for next year?
Yeah,
when the president next year.
Well, I mean, not next year. We've got cases in front of the Supreme Court now that are supposed to and should, by all counts, unravel these ridiculous indictments and legal persecutions of President Trump, the leading candidate. So this is nothing more than something you would see in a banana republic. And I know folks get all in a froth about Trump, and people that normally have sense lose it when it comes to Donald Trump. But it does not matter. Insert name here. Take the name out. It's a political candidate for president who has a huge following, and we are doing everything to throw him in prison for nothing. I mean, that's just, I can't even believe this is happening in the United States of America right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so they're making excuses for it. So, all right, wait a minute. What was your point? What was your point, real quick?
My point?
No, you asked me a question.
Yeah, about what's going to happen next year.
Yeah, so
I mean,
we can't trust them, and we can't count. We can't count on them.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, so Jimmy, you were telling me off air. Actually, we always have. This is a little inside podcast. We do actually have a lot of conversation in between takes, and before the podcast, and sometimes afterwards, that are really good, but they're just not. It's not stuff that we want to put out on the air. But anyway, you were telling me about. You visited North High School, Terre Haute North High School this week.
Yeah, it was earlier.
And they're doing a program. You want to tell us about that?
You bet. Okay, so it was really a cool program. I was asked to come in and speak to some Terre Haute North High School students. So that's my alma mater, North High School, graduate class of 99, and I got to go in and talk to some of these students, and it's really cool now in high schools. They set up pathways. So early on, they try to figure out, like, what pathway do you want to take? And you got to pick one. Well, they've got this pathway, which I'm really kind of excited about, and especially for our future in our community, hopefully, this entrepreneurial pathway.
Oh, that's good.
So they're looking at ways to be entrepreneurs, like preneurs. I really didn't say that right. But anyway, leaders, business owners, inventors, thinking out of the box on things, bringing that type of stuff and keeping them in this area. So they asked if I could come in and speak to a few classes of students, and because what they do is they do projects. And from the hospital side, actually Carmel High School in Indianapolis has been working with one of the hospitals over there using this entrepreneurial pathway to help try to work on some of their problems, because like any business, right, we have issues that we deal with, like things that you got this problem and you got metrics to fix it, and you throw this at it and it doesn't work, and then you get somebody new over the committee and they throw this at it, it doesn't work, and then you go back and do what you did before, and then you go back to hey, let's start with the basics again. Yeah. So you start with the basics, but you never actually get a needle to move. Well, I mean, I think we're in healthcare, we're in this kind of interesting area where we're a little more flexible, and it's probably because of COVID. So there was something positive from what the devil had done, but God can make good out of it. And he has, because in healthcare, we've become a lot more flexible and open to doing things a little bit different and being way more patient focused than worrying about some other things that we'd worry about in the past. So we have some problems, and I was actually went and able to present those 5 different problems that we've been beating on for a long time. Every hospital works on this stuff. Patient falls, throughput. Like if you've ever been to the ER, you wait in the ER forever to get upstairs, and it's just like, what is the deal? Why is this happening? It's like this 3-headed monster. If one piece of this system breaks, everything locks up, and you have people sitting in our ER waiting to go upstairs for a long period of time. It happens in every ER, almost every ER in the country, especially with any city of any size. You can't just expand, because on top of it, there's a labor crisis. You don't have people to cover. You don't have to put somebody if you don't cover. Anyway, even down to one of the biggest things that we always work on is hand washing. You think, oh, that's pretty simple, right? Hand washing. Well, we look at numbers across even hospitals across the country. The numbers aren't that great.
Now, what do you mean they're not that great?
Well, they use surveys.
People don't wash their hands?
Yeah. I mean,
really?
I mean, that's why people get sick.
Well,
right?
Okay.
No. I'm just saying.
Are you talking healthcare workers or the people?
Healthcare workers. No. I mean, it's bad. I'll be honest. And here's the problem. So I'll tell you the breakdown with hand washing. This is what I get. So you're a doctor and you come in, and we're taught to respect a doctor. You respect them. And have a respect for them. So if you don't wash your hands, as a patient, do I feel empowered? And I hate to use that word, but do I feel empowered to say, "Doc, you need to wash your hands"? Do you think that ever happens?
No, never.
Exactly.
Well, maybe once or twice.
Well, what does happen? Yeah. Well, I get the survey in the mail, a week after I'm discharged. Doctor didn't wash his hands. I don't as a hospital leader, how do we know which one it was? Right. There were probably 6 different ones. And I'm not even really picking on physicians. I'm just nurses, respiratory therapists, people they just don't have that down. So, anyway, lots of problems.
But does that mean...
Never any great answers.
Well, let's talk about this for a minute.
We can definitely talk about washing hands.
Does that mean that they didn't wash their hands, or does that mean, can they wash it before they go into the room?
You're actually supposed to. So this gets weird. You're supposed to wash it in front of the patient.
Okay.
And maybe it's just for...
Okay. But say that doesn't happen, because clearly that's what they're responding to the survey. And I know this isn't where you wanted to go.
No, but I'm good with that.
So, but say they've washed their hands, like in their mind, the nurse or the doctor or whatever, they've just washed their hand, not in front of the patient. Is that possible that's happened? I mean, are you saying there are doctors and nurses who from time to time go in and treat a patient and they haven't washed their hands?
I hate to say it, but yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So, all right. Well, if you're watching the podcast and you're in the hospital and somebody walks in the room, you are empowered by anybody
To say,
in the hospital to say,
hey, why don't you wash your hands?
I didn't see you wash your hands. Now, this is the big
Okay.
thing since COVID that everybody hit. I hit that alcohol thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the same, guys.
Really?
No, because there's actually biofilm on your hands that physically using soap and water helps to get it clean.
Yeah, okay.
So that they don't put the sinks on in the hallway, if you notice.
So
they're inside the room.
So if they are not seeing them wash their hands when they're in there, they probably
You should assume
haven't.
their hands are dirty.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
And you assume you probably touched the guy next door who has some kind of skin disease and he's going to come over to you. So you ask, I don't know what the dude next door has, but I don't want it. So anyway, we've digressed. But healthcare is messy, man. All right. So anyway, back to the students. So presented some things to these students. Great questions. I had a couple students come up to me and, healthcare really we haven't really moved, especially in a rural community, using a lot of technology yet. And we're going that direction, but it just takes time to adapt to it. So we were talking about 3D printing. How could that be used?
Oh, wow.
And so I had a couple students come up to me, and it was really funny. This one student was like, he's like, I'm really into 3D printing. And I was like, really? He's like, and they had a friend with him. He was like, I am too. Yeah. So I was like, okay. I was like, get a hold of me with some ideas because we can get some 3D. I mean, I told him, I said, if you can find one thing that we can help patient care and make our patient care better by something 3D printed, we will do it.
Yeah.
It probably hasn't been tested. So we're asking these young minds, and I have a lot of hope for the next generation.
Absolutely.
I know people throw, and you don't, Andrew. I think you and I feel the same way, but a lot of people are like writing them off, and they're, antisocial and in their phones all the time. But there is untapped gold.
Absolutely.
Because they have been raised different than us.
Yeah.
They've had different challenges than us. And I think the answers for the next generation are untapped. And we need, as adults and as people in our 30s and 40s and 50s, we need to look back on the generation and say, what kind of gold can we mine out of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there. So anyway, great conversations, had 3 different sessions. But I did notice one thing, and it's nothing, I don't want to put anybody down in this way, but that was the same high school that I went to in 99. So many years ago, 25 almost. Nothing's changed.
What do you mean nothing's changed?
I mean, the signs on the door are the same as they were. It says typing on one door. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. It's kind of retro. Well, once you enter the classroom, it's not retro. It's rough.
Wow.
It's rough, Andrew. And I don't know. I just have this thought about it. So I know that we've had some referendums. We had some tax money going, especially. Yeah. What is it? Where's it going? I mean,
right. Let me ask you, if it hasn't
changed in 25 years, I mean, you could go in the room and take a paintbrush and go down the wall.
Okay, that's what I
was
going to ask you. Okay. Yeah. So is it things that could just is it cosmetic? Is it cleaning? Is it just normal maintenance, or are we? Oh, really?
It's normal maintenance. I mean, you would not, Andrew, your place of business would never have a customer if it was this dirty.
Oh, wow.
And I think that the students, unfortunately, have become accustomed to this.
What do you think that does for the learning? If you've got an environment like that,
so
if you've got an environment that's slobby and disorderly and run down, and you can tell that whoever runs the school, not necessarily your teacher,
not your
but
teacher,
whoever runs the school doesn't care a whit about the facilities. What kind of message is that?
Well, I'll tell you what it does, because if you see, and we see this in healthcare also, it actually messes with the health of your body, or your underlying hormones.
Yeah.
Because being in those environments, especially if you're not used to them, like some of these kids, they probably come from really nice homes.
Yeah.
And you come into this environment that's dirty, you're going to get stress hormones released. I know that's kind of, maybe think I'm exaggerating, but no, deep down you have hormones that are released in these situations. This is not your normal situation. So, I mean, if you look at a chair and you're like, man, that's kind of dirty, and there's dust and stuff all over the place. And I don't believe this is one classroom. I was in this classroom. Students were awesome. Teachers were awesome. The equipment was falling apart, man. The computers were like 3 computers ago that we got rid of at the hospital, and we're still kind of old at the hospital, I feel. And I just think, I mean, the equipment's there, and you can see somebody purchased it, and it was a nice purchase, but then nobody kept it up.
Yeah.
They were going to throw this piece of equipment away. Now, this is a little bit open, but they were going to throw this really cool projector away. But the teacher was like, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's try to work on it a little bit.
Yeah.
You had a student work on it and fixed it.
Yeah.
This is something that would have been in their dumpster.
Right.
Where are these tax dollars going? And this is from my side. Is it being left in disarray so that it can be presented to the community as this trash hole that we need to have more taxes go towards to fix? What happened to last referendum the first one? We had 2 of them, right?
The second one failed.
Second one failed. First one went through.
Yes.
What the heck did that do? I mean, we have 25 years and these rooms look the same. So I don't know what it was for, but.
Well, yeah, that is just, I would be so ashamed to have a school that was like that. I mean, I don't even understand. Clean it.
Well,
if you have to, Jimmy,
let's
have a community day and have your community come in and clean the classrooms.
People would volunteer to do it. Just
Absolutely.
Give them the equipment to do it. But let's compare it to, like, let's say South Vermilion High School.
Okay.
South Vermilion High School, small high school. They got a middle school, high school all together. Been around probably as long as North. Really probably has. Terre North, Terre South. Much smaller tax bracket base, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
Still a nice, clean, pristine school, from what I hear, compared to Terre North or Terre South.
Yeah.
So, are they taking care of their building there, and we're not taking care of it here? And is there a reason why we're not taking care of it? Now, I know one little stipulation. There's been investors that have tried to give specific free things for, like, Terre North to maybe get new turf on one of their things on their football field. They said we can't do it here unless we do it at both places.
So you think that kind of limits what happens then?
Well,
because nobody's going to want to take care of 2 high schools.
Well, yeah, but in the vein of being fair, are we letting both of them just turn into trash and not letting anybody invest anything in them? Well, let them go down.
There are folks that I think there's some people running for school board. Definitely, that's always kind of the cycle that's going around. But I remember this last cycle, and folks were touring the high schools because the referendum was a big deal. It was a big thing on the ballot. You had folks that would tour the high schools, and they would immediately say, "We need to replace them. We need this tax dollars, whatever." I just feel like the first response when you go into a high school or any building that's tax dollars, these are hardworking people's money that built these buildings, maintain them, and you walk in and you see them filthy, you see drains not working, you see buckets under leaks, things that are normal maintenance, Jimmy. They have maintenance men. They pay for that position. And it's not being taken care of. Why in the world would your first response be, we need to replace the building? The first response would be, why aren't you fixing this building? Get your house in order, do the right things here. Mm-hmm. Take care of it like the treasure it is, because this is taxpayer dollars that gave this to you. So take care of it the best you can.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about replacing it. But until you're going to show me, it's no different than when you have a kid and you give them a toy or you give them a bicycle or whatever, and they trash it. Is your first response going to be, "Oh,
bigger and nicer.
I need to give you something nicer"? No, your response is, "Son, learn responsibility with what I gave you, and then if you are really responsible with what I gave you, I'm going to want to give you something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you with something." That's a biblical principle. Faithful in the small, and then you'll be able to be entrusted with something larger.
I just don't understand. I don't understand it, Andrew. And I've also heard, and not that sports is everything, but I've heard there are actually sports teams from around the state that don't want to come here.
Yeah.
To play because
the facilities are so bad.
And the bathrooms, I didn't go in them, but I've heard they're exactly the same as 25 years ago, which was sketchy back then. So, I mean, you come to a school in Terre Haute, and the first thing you see is an absolute dump. You wonder why we can't keep businesses and those type of things here, because if you take a look at those schools, no, most of them, They're here for a year.
It sounds like
then
we
they're
need some,
they're gone.
just some good old-fashioned elbow grease. Would fix a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and maybe somebody to think outside of this is what we've always done.
Yeah.
So, anyway, God bless the schools. I don't have any kids at the schools. We homeschool, so we don't have kids there. So it was just eye-opening to me. And I mean, that is the generation. That's what we're relying on around here.
Right.
Is for those kids to be built up and actually stay here. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just passionate about it. Man, there's just good kids there. It's good teachers there. But they're just, it's just a mess.
All right. So last segment here, we're getting ready to wrap up.
Yes.
We've had some good conversation or whatever. Some of it again not on the air. So, last week I went to Vegas, and I went for a promotional products trade show. And just real quick story here. I'm not a huge Vegas fan.
Oh, come on.
I can go for about a day and a half to 2 days before it just wears me out. Honestly, I just get. It's really cool. Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really cool, and the buildings are like. I mean, some of the buildings are like TV screens. I mean, they're huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's just crazy. Anyway, so my knee was kind of sore a little bit, but I wasn't thinking anything about it. So we drop off the trade shows at the Mandalay Hotel, which is the really big one, really big gold one at the end of the strip or whatever. We fly in at really early in the morning. We had to get up at 3 a.m. to go. This is just nuts.
Crazy.
It's just crazy. But anyway, before I bore everybody, so we drop us off at the hotel, and it was such a nice day out. It was 0 in Indiana, and it's like 40 there. And we were like, but it's sunny and 40. Yeah. It's really nice. So we were like, let's just walk, because we could see the hotel. Mm-hmm. So we started walking, and about 15 minutes into it, the hotel really wasn't any closer. It was 2.5 miles away.
But it seemed like it was close.
Yeah, and so we walked 2.5 miles to get to it, to walk the rest of the trade show, because this show is massive. It takes you about 2 days to get through it. It's that big. So anyway, we did that, and I think there was a story you're not going to tell us about you and a Corolla and something in Vegas, and that leads us into there was an accident with a Corolla and a Cybertruck, right? And you were going to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to talk about it. So Cybertruck had a first accident. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
It was kind of the end of December. We actually talked about this before we started, but
yeah.
Do you know how much a Cybertruck weighs?
I would imagine quite a bit.
Yeah,
but no,
about
I don't.
3 tons.
Holy cow.
So the car that it hit was a Toyota Corolla. Absolutely smashed it.
Was the person all right?
Yes, they were a 17-year-old. I'm sure they were probably gawking at it when it went by. But there is a picture of the Cybertruck from the end of 2023.
Yeah.
That it was unfazed, right?
Well, yeah, because it's
but
bulletproof.
NBC came out with this
The headline?
Yeah, headline.
What was it?
And it was kind of matches into when you walking down the strip. There's a record number of pedestrians being slaughtered on the sidewalks these days. And you know what Elon Musk's answer for that is? A Cybertruck. You know what it will do? It will kill them faster if they get hit. You know, if you get hit by a Cybertruck, you'll die faster than an F-150 because it's heavier.
This reminds
Elon,
me.
He made this Cybertruck, and this came out just to kill pedestrians.
Yes, well, this reminds
That's
me
what NBC
of
says.
the way liberal media handles catastrophes. It's like the world will end tomorrow. Women and children hardest hit.
That's right.
It's like, what?
Exactly true.
Oh, geez.
But hey, I can't wait. The Cybertruck will be here someday. It is. It is so ugly. Actually,
it is
really
ugly. Yeah.
I don't know what the inside even looks like. The outside looks
pretty
super
cool.
ugly.
Yeah.
But it will stand out.
Yeah, and whatever. It does amazing stuff. You can shoot it with a gun, and it doesn't. It's bulletproof.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's pretty cool.
is a truck guy really gonna get a Cybertruck?
I don't know, but they're super fast. They can, with the load, they beat everything out there. It's amazing.
And they blow through brick walls when they hit them.
Do they?
They're 3 tons.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like a battering ram.
He did say in his when they were leasing the vehicle and he was showing it, he did say, you're going to win. Whatever happens out there on the road, you're going to win.
It's the perfect car for the new 16-year-old.
Right.
Right, Drew? It's a great first car. It's one dog with the safest on the road. If you stay on the road.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. If you've made it this far, first of all, we're sorry. We apologize. We'll try to do better next time. But we are going to be posting this on Twitter, direct, not just the YouTube link. We're going to be taking the podcast, putting it on Twitter. We're going to be taking the podcast, and it will go on Rumble, as well as our YouTube channel. We're just trying to basically, we're trying to basically branch out because Jimmy says things sometimes that you just, is probably going to get us banned. So
from YouTube, yeah,
yeah. So we've got to make sure.
Following's so big,
exactly.
Yeah, we're on the radar.
Yep. So we've got a great show planned for you next time too, but we can't talk about it because just in case it doesn't happen. But we're pretty excited about it. And
just in case,
folks, we really appreciate you listening to us and watching us. Please continue to comment, send in your comments, your questions, like, subscribe, and be sure to share. And we will talk to you. We will talk to you next time.
That's right. See you later.
I got a fire in me, you're gonna set to burn.